Kijkers, bij mij in de studio heb ik een parlementariër uit Zwitserland, Samuel Kullman. En hij was gisteren de hoofdspreker bij een van de themaavonden van de NPS. En het thema was de oplossing tegen corruptie. Good afternoon, Mr. Kullman.
Good afternoon.
Welkom in Suriname.
Dankjewel.
Okay, some Dutch words.
Een beetje, ja.
Een beetje, okay, good, good. You are in the parliament of Switzerland?
Of the Canton Bern, the second largest province of Switzerland.
Explain, what is your, the reason for your trip to Paramaribo?
So I got to know Maya Parbu last year, and I heard that she's here in Suriname, involved in politics, and when we talked about politics, she told me, Samuel, I'm very interested to hear more about the political system of Switzerland. And so she helped to organize this event where yesterday evening I talked about what makes the political system of Switzerland unique, and also from the aspect, are there things that can help to fight against corruption?
And what makes the political system of Switzerland so unique?
So there are three major things that in combination make it unique. One is Switzerland has a strong federalism, which means there's not only the national government where all the power is, but there's a lot of decentralization. So actually our cantons, the provinces or district or how you want to call them, they spend most of the taxpayer money. So a lot of political decisions are made on this provincial level. So this is one aspect. It's not unique in the world. Many countries have federalism, but in Switzerland it's very strong. Then the second aspect is, which some people might know, is what we call direct democracy, which means that the citizens of Switzerland have the last say with regard to the most important policy questions in the country. By using the direct democratic right of the referendum, people can challenge any law that Parliament has passed, and then if the citizens don't approve of a law Parliament has passed, it will be rejected. And citizens also have the right of the popular initiative, which is if they feel that Parliament or government is not doing something that citizens think they should be doing, then they can also collect signatures, and if they reach a certain threshold, then every citizen will vote on this proposal. Now the third aspect which makes the political system of Switzerland very unique is that Switzerland is governed by a team government. So we don't have like one strong president or prime minister, but we have a college or team of 7 ministers who share the power of the presidency. So not one of them is more powerful than the other, and this has led to a lot of political stability in Switzerland.
And talking about the direct democracy, does the government listen to the people when they have sometimes problems with the way things are going?
I think the politicians, the parliament, the government, they always have to listen. If they don't agree with a certain initiative that is being put forward, then that's okay. They can say, we reject it, we recommend that the citizens reject it, and often those popular initiatives are also rejected by a majority of the population, because many also follow the lead of the government. But in some cases where the government or the politicians are out of touch with the population, then the citizens have the right to really push it through, and even if the parliament and the government does not want it.
Okay. Talking about fighting corruption, is there corruption in Switzerland?
Of course there is. There's corruption in every country.
Exactly. But can you talk about more what type of corruption in the politics, and how do Switzerland handle with corruption?
So the kind of corruption we have in Switzerland is the not very obvious one. So obvious corruption is hardly tolerated in our society. Or in the culture, it's just like that you could, if the policeman wants to give you a fine, that you bribe the police person. It's like, I haven't heard of such a thing happening. It's just on this level, it's not tolerated. And then there, of course, are some interminglings, like when there are very powerful companies that have billions of dollars of revenue. Of course, there can be some forms of maybe, let's say, institutionalized form of corruption, or just doing favors. So these things can happen, of course, also with the banking system. In the crisis we had, there's also doubt whether everything went really very well, also with the kind of crisis in the financial system. But in general, I would say the level of corruption in Switzerland is very low. This is also being attested by Transparency International, for example. And I think what also really helps to lower the amount of corruption in Switzerland is that the politicians are not too powerful. So in Switzerland, we are experts in sharing or like dividing the power so that not one single person in politics has too much power, but that power is like quite evenly and fairly distributed to many different kinds of people, so they don't have the amount of power to abuse easily.
And then Maya Parbu asked you to come to Suriname for a presentation.
Yes.
How was your preparation for this event? Because you have to look up where is Suriname,
yes.
How is the political system. Can you tell us more about this, about your preparation?
So it was very good to actually be in the country for a week, although I'm aware this is not enough and it was my first time, so I'm not coming with the attitude I know how everything works, and I just shared some ideas in the sense of an inspiration, but I talked to a lot of people, also from different political parties. I talked to normal citizens, and I mean, everyone was confirming to me that the amount of corruption is very high and that it is a great problem for Suriname, for the country to move forward. And of course, I also did my research on the political system, the different political parties. So just trying to understand the problems a bit better, yeah.
Yeah. About yesterday, you're the keynote speaker. Can you tell us about, a little bit more about the red line you were talking about?
So it was a three-part presentation. The first part was that I talked about the political system of Switzerland, outlining these three special aspects that make the political system of Switzerland very unique. The second part was that I just gave questions to the audience, things they can think about, like I said, okay, so we have this and this in Switzerland. Do you think this makes sense in Suriname? So I'm not here to tell anyone how they should do it, but just to inspire people to launch a discussion and just to give a few items to think about with the structure of the political system. So this was part 2. And in part 3, we had an opportunity of questions and answers.
Can you give some examples about part 2?
Mm-hmm. So let's say team government, for example, having 7 ministers, which is like almost every other country has many more ministries. In Switzerland, we've had 7 ministers since the foundation of the modern nation state in 1848, and this remained the same. So this, I believe, it helped to keep the state, not that it doesn't grow too big, and also having a nice team of 7 people that can work together. It's not too big. So I asked the people, do you think this makes sense in Suriname to have also a form of team government where power is more equally shared amongst the ministers, where not all the power lies with a single person or most of the power? And then also the question, how many ministries should there be, and what kind of issues should be then discussed at the national level, or discussing about the autonomy of provinces. I asked them, well, what do you think? Which issues should be regulated on the national level? Which policy question should be maybe given to the autonomy of the provinces? And then also with direct democracy, I asked the people, do you think this will work in Suriname? And what do you think about it? Can this help to fight corruption? So I was just asking these questions.
And what were the answers about how many ministers we need to have in Suriname?
I think the general attitude was that there are too many, but people went, I mean, this is just the start of the discussion, so but the general attitude was there are too many, and that it is too easy to create a new one just to please maybe a certain political party in the negotiation process. Yeah.
And part 3 was the attendees were able to ask you questions. And what were some questions that they asked you?
What was seemed of quite interest as well was the question of gender equality. So there were a few questions there, like about how well women are represented in our political institutions, which was not too good a few decades ago, but nowadays it's almost equal. But then other questions were how some more question of understanding how the system works in detail, or what I would recommend for Suriname, but I'm a bit hesitant to make any recommendations, because I believe it's the politicians and the political parties, and especially the citizens. The citizens need to discuss this, and also Maya Parbo's vision is to have a new Grondwet, a new constitution, and to have a big discussion on this. And I believe this is something that the citizens of Suriname should engage in.
What can Suriname learn from Switzerland?
So I believe there are different strengths that we have in Switzerland. One is political stability. Of course, Suriname is much more diverse in its ethnicity with the religions and the languages, but Switzerland is also a little bit diverse. So we also have 4 national languages, we have different religious groups, and in a way also a bit different cultures. And with this model of power sharing, we are able to integrate all the different minorities and the different groups of society and share power, I think, in a better way, which has led to extraordinary stability in Switzerland. So Switzerland is known probably as the most stable country in the world, which is a great foundation for wealth building, because people then investors come, they bring the capital, they entrust it to people in Switzerland, because they know that in Switzerland the political system is very stable, and we have a high degree of property rights. So this is one aspect of the things that help to make Switzerland a wealthy country, although we have no natural resources.
Yeah, and are there also things that Switzerland can learn from Suriname from your point of view?
Definitely. So I believe Suriname, or the people here, have a very welcoming culture, and I believe Suriname can be an example to the world with regard how you can live in peace with so many diverse groups in society. So I think this is something that in Suriname is already doing very well.
We're talking about fighting corruption. Do we have to change the system, or do we have to change the mindset of the people who are politicians?
So there are different approaches. I believe there are at least 3 approaches. One is to change the culture of a nation. So for example, in Switzerland, the culture is in a way that very obvious corruption is just not tolerated. Mm-hmm. And then this is sort of also the responsibility of every citizen to try to live in a culture that tolerates corruption less. But of course, this is very difficult to change society as a whole, but I think it's one part we need to look at. Another part is to try to impact those who are holding political office, who are having the political power now, or who will probably have it in the future, so to educate them well and to charge them really with the task to do what they can, that once they are in power, that they do more to fight against corruption, that they are like also themselves more persons of integrity, and just try to educate them, but also to vote in those that we can perceive are people that are maybe less corrupt, or that are really where it's really probable that they will do a good job in fighting corruption. And then the third aspect, which is the one I focused on yesterday, is what changes in the system can help to fight corruption. And I think the most important part there is to share the power more equally. Because if a politician has less power, then they have less opportunity to misuse it.
Yeah. Did you have any meetings with the government in your visit here to Suriname?
A brief encounter, yeah.
Okay. And not with the president, the vice president here in Suriname?
Just very briefly.
Mm. Okay. Do you have some final remarks at the end of this interview?
Well, thank you for your interest, and it was great to be here. And I'm looking forward to come again another day. And you have such a beautiful country. It's amazing the potential you have. Suriname can be way ahead of Switzerland within a few decades or even a few years. With good governance, this country has one of the biggest potentials in the world. So it's really worth to fight for your country, to fight against corruption, to strive to have a great society and also have a good governance here. And I believe that also the coming 5 years will be very crucial for Suriname and that you'll have breakthrough in different areas.
Thanks a lot, Samuel Kullman, for your visit to Suriname. Ja. Kijkers, hiermee ben ik aan het einde gekomen van Magazine 4 op dinsdag 11 februari 2025. Sam Blankendal groet.